Seymour, the man,
Manny, the
the
man.
man himself. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Enjoying my day.
Tell me about this tree behind you. What is this tree?
Oh, this is a tree that was donated to me by my very good friend Maria Giudice, and I've been nurturing it. It's like one of her children. So
Yeah,
I'm the foster parent of this plant, and I got several more here that she abandoned and gave them to me, and now I'm the new foster dad.
amazing. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Really appreciate it. A quick welcome. Welcome to Manny's Super Civic Cyber Conversations. The point of these is to continue the mission of Manny's to civically engage the public, and we're doing it on the internet in this time of need. Manny's is a physical space. Unfortunately, we've had to shut down for everyone's public health and safety. So this is an opportunity for us to keep doing our work on a Saturday, on the weekend. And if you'd like to support Manny's, there's a link in the chat box, joinit.org. Please become a sponsor at $36 a month. We're also going to put in a special link for Code Tenderloin, Del Seymour's organization, to support Code Tenderloin during this time. So let's get right to it, Del, and let's talk about what's going on in the Tenderloin right now.
Let's talk about the Tenderloin. Ask me whatever you want.
So I want to ask you kind of, first of all, I just want to get a sense of how are people feeling in the Tenderloin right now? What's the sense on the ground? What are you hearing? Kind of what's the word on the street in the Tenderloin right now with everything that's happened?
Well, we're super confused.
Okay.
We're feeling super abandoned.
Okay.
We're feeling unprioritized.
Okay.
And we're pissed.
Okay.
Because we don't feel that we're being looked at whatsoever as citizens of San Francisco.
Okay. So let's start with the first one. Confused. What are people confused about? Exactly.
We don't know what this we don't see. I'm able to sit and watch CNN or Fox News or whoever,
right,
12, 14 hours a day. My folks don't have even 14 seconds a day to watch that. So they really don't know what this means. How will it affect them? Right. Is it the end of the world?
Right.
Or what do we do about it? Is the cavalry coming to save us?
Right.
We look around the corner every day. Are they coming around the corner to save us or not?
Are there like a lot of rumors flying in the Tenderloin about what all this is about? Or do you think people at this point kind of understand the lay of the land?
Well, we're looking at it again like this is another time that we're not being involved in the discussions. Mm-hmm. We're not being involved in the preparations, and we're again just the untouchables.
Right.
We're the untouchables.
So tell me about the feeling of abandonment. Where are you seeing the feeling of abandonment most clearly? Is it aren't food banks the way there are in other parts of the city? Are there no medical facilities that are open to people to go to? Like, kind of, where is that feeling coming from specifically?
Well, we feel that our services have been greatly diminished, and I understand the reasons for them being diminished. They don't understand them. They don't understand why they can't come sit down in St. Anthony's anymore.
Right.
I understand it, but they don't understand it because they haven't been told why it's necessary to do social distancing and all of that.
And so, sorry, go ahead, Del.
And we got, like yesterday, we got a stab in our heart where they says, okay, we're going to start doing testing in San Francisco, but we're going to test in the Outer Mission,
right,
in Mission Bay and Chinatown.
Right.
There's nowhere near where any of us can go. And plus they say you'll need a referral from a doctor. We don't have a referral from doctors.
Right.
This is, again, we are being completely disenfranchised.
There are a lot of social services in the Tenderloin, like Larkin Street and Glide and St. Anthony's. Are most of those places closed, or have they been kept open as essential spaces?
Well, you got to break it down. There are 300 nonprofits in the Tenderloin, so I can't say what's for all of them. But for example, Glide and St. Anthony's on modified schedules.
Okay.
They're still open 7 days a week on modified schedules.
Okay.
Larkin Street is on a modified schedule.
Okay.
Code Tenderloin, we're on a full schedule.
Okay.
So everyone is doing their own different thing depending on how bold they want to be.
Okay. And I should just say, for all the participants, first of all, thank you for joining on a Saturday. If you have any questions for Del about what's going on in the Tenderloin right now, how the coronavirus is affecting the Tenderloin, please go ahead and type it into the chat Q&A box. There's a little Q&A box. Type it in. No question is wrong. Just feel free to start typing your questions for Del. We're just going to talk for like 10 more minutes, 10, 15, and then we're going to answer. I'm going to present your questions to Del. The Tenderloin is the densest, right? The densest part of San Francisco. It has the highest density.
Yes,
Is
the Tenderloin and also Chinatown. They're very close to density.
are you how has it been more difficult to accomplish social distancing in the Tenderloin, given how dense it is?
Well, just you almost answered it.
Yeah.
Our social services, the ones that are open, still require lines. Our tent and canvas still require people to be close to each other because you don't have a whole block. And I was out, I snuck in the Tenderloin. I shouldn't leave my home, but I
Right.
snuck in the Tenderloin yesterday, and I saw a police enforcement on the corner of Golden Gate and Joan,
Mm-hmm.
but they were trying to get people to separate. There ain't no room to separate. Just can't do it.
Like within the tent, or
But they wanted to move the tents further down the block, and there was no room. There was nowhere to move them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you said you feel the last part is you feel like you guys have been disenfranchised. What kind of advocacy is being done right now to be involved in the city process and to get information and get the services that the Tenderloin needs? How is that being communicated?
It's being communicated mainly through the Coalition for Homelessness. They're really out on the streets every day trying to get equality and commitments from the city to really consider our needs, our special needs in the Tenderloin.
Okay.
You know, we're being beat down by the bad press that there's always lynching us. Mainly there's media lynching for the Tenderloin.
Right.
For example, yesterday there was a double homicide in basically Union Square, which is a block between Mason and Powell Street. They call that a double murder in the Tenderloin. That was not the Tenderloin, but it was easy for the media to say that was a Tenderloin. It was in a luxury hotel. Luxury hotels are not in the Tenderloin.
What happened, though?
It was a murder-suicide in one of our luxury hotels on Cyril Magnet Avenue, which is not in the Tenderloin. But all the Examiner, especially the Examiner and the Chronicle, both call that a double murder in the Tenderloin. Again, beating us down.
Why do you think they did that? What's that about?
Sells newspapers. They're selling newspapers.
To position the Tenderloin as like a danger.
It sounds good. Someone says double murder in the Tenderloin. Everyone wants to open that page because they want to find out how dastardly we live. And that was not in the Tenderloin. I'm so tired of this.
Mm-hmm. What can the average person, what can the average San Franciscan do to take care of the Tenderloin right now?
We can go down you can go down with a group of folks to our city hall, to our district supervisor who's on the case already, to our mayor, to our board of supervisors, and demand equality. Everyone in the Tenderloin is a citizen of San Francisco, no different than that person up on Pacific Boulevard up by Miss Feinstein's house. No different. And we need the same services and protection and love that the city gives to everyone, and we're not getting it.
Are you hearing about like a lot more cases of people with the virus in the Tenderloin, or people being symptomatic? Are you hearing about, it spreading in certain parts of the Tenderloin? Are you what are you hearing in terms of how people's health in the community?
First of all, everyone in the Tenderloin is sick. When you live in a tent and you're pissing on the ground and pooping in a paper bag, you're sick, okay? You're already sick. We have so many maladies, you couldn't even count them. So, for example, 2 days ago or a day ago, they've been doing a public testing in the city of Hayward, and they come back with results that 24% of the public have the virus.
In Hayward?
In Hayward.
Damn.
A safe, clean, hygienically clean area of Seymour. So if they were to ever test the Tenderloin, which they will never do because they're afraid of those, we probably got 70-80% infection in the Tenderloin right now. But where are they testing? Outer Sunset.
Outer Sunset.
I challenge Mayor Breed. I challenge the medical director.
Grant Colfax.
Yeah. Dr. Colfax. I challenge Mayor Breed, Dr. Colfax, Trent Rohrer, who's really running the homeless situation right now, I think, and the director of HSH, Abigail. I challenge them to take one block of the Tenderloin, make it a pilot, and test that one block. Or one encampment, and I'll guarantee you, I'll bet you'll get over 80% infection rate. But they'll never do that because they're afraid to know the results.
Okay, folks, if you have questions for Del Seymour, now is a good time to type them into the Q&A box. Del, I talked to Jeff Kaczynski a couple days ago, who now is running the city's coordinated response. for COVID-19 for folks who are unhoused. And he seemed optimistic that they might be able to find 8,000 beds for people, including people who are chronically homeless in some of these hotels and other sites around the city. Are you optimistic? Do you think this might actually be a watershed moment to house some of the people who for so long there was just no place to house them? Now maybe we might be able to use the crisis to house people who need housing?
So myself and the other activists in the Tenderloin are looking very closely at this.
Mm-hmm.
We're holding our breath because it's a very fluid situation.
Right.
Well, I wish this broadcast was next Saturday because I would be able to answer it better, but I know these rooms are in the queue. So my thing is against that nasty word, which I hate, is priority. Right. What the hell does priority mean when you need a room? Right. Well, we can't give these people because we're priority of these people. So there's been a lot of talk, firefighters, nurses, the seniors that are in the shelters, the chronically ill and chronically homeless people. Right. So what are they going to give priority to? In that word priority, and just put people in the rooms. We got them. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to actually do something with our folks. Let's use it. We have the money. We have the rooms. So
yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to beat nobody down right now. I'm waiting on this next week, and I believe, and I've talked to Jeff almost every other day, and we're working together on this. So I'm hoping this is all going to come out, and we will have some. It'll be a light at the end of the tunnel, and will not be the train.
Right. You know, I don't know if you watched, but I watched the Board of Supervisors had their meeting last week, and Matt Haney was talking to Trent Rohr about, you know, we have these hotel rooms, and we have all these people. You know, let's put them in these rooms. And his thing was, he said that the guidance that he got was that they didn't want to put people in rooms if they didn't have wraparound services. And then DPH came and said, oh no, people should not be in congregant settings. It is better for public health for people to be in rooms where they could be quarantined if they want to. And it kind of seemed a little bit like left hand wasn't talking to the right. Do you feel like the city is organized and they have a overall strategy and plan, or do you feel like it's kind of, you know, all over the place?
Well, you know, there was not a comfortable exchange between Brent and Matt, and I was sorry to see that go down like that, because what we're doing, we're arguing over Tyrone and Sheila, who was on the ground. Right. And we didn't make this a interdepartmental or interagency battle when Tyrone is still laying on the ground at the end of that battle. Right. But so, and I understand we can't just put people in those rooms without services. That would be unfair, and I mean, that would be very irresponsible to the person you have to live next door to. So we got to do it in a very responsible, organized way. We still can't give up organization just because this is an emergency. We still got to do things in a proper way. So hopefully, in the meantime, they're wrapping up getting staff and everything, because staff has a lot to do with this. Right.
So how do you think the mayor's doing, Del? You're known as the mayor of the Tenderloin. That's your famous tagline. How do you think Mayor Breed is doing right now in the midst of this crisis?
She's not hiding from it. I have a lot of admiration for her doing the things that she does. I think she's getting away from that partisan, making partisan decisions. And I mean, we don't really have a partisan town, but in the way we do between the liberals and the conservatives, we don't have Democrats and Republicans, but we still got a bipartisan a population. So she's getting away from that, and I think she's doing things based on need. She's a very responsible person. She is looking toward the forward. She isn't just looking to solve a problem right now, then you got another problem tomorrow. She is solving a problem with minds of how will this affect tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Do you know, Del, and it may be too soon to tell, but do you know this big $3 trillion bill that the government just passed? Do you know how it might affect some of the residents of the Tenderloin, maybe people who are unhoused, some of the checks that people are getting? You know, it should be that everyone in the Tenderloin gets a $1,200 check after this. You know, if that's true, if that actually well, where are they going to mail the check actually?
So I'm working right now with Coalition of Homelessness. I started conversations with them yesterday on how we can educate and inform people about this $1,200 bonus. Right. And still trying to go through the paperwork of who that means, whether as long as you're on SSI, you will get it. As long as you're on a disabled veteran, you'll get it, whether you file your taxes or not. Because the government right now is saying basically, unless you file your tax 2018 or 19, you will not be in the queue for it, but there's provisions for it. So we're trying to find out, even if we need to do a mass signing so everyone in Tenderloin can file their just a blank 2018 filing and have a direct deposit, because that's where they're doing. They're prioritizing this money.
Right.
People get it, no matter what they're gonna do with it, but it might take them out of their misery.
Right. It seems like it's a logistical nightmare, actually, to try to get all these folks, direct deposit, tax filing, where you're going to mail the check. It's complicated. So I'm glad that you guys are thinking about it. So Del,
where the city could come in, is fund the center so that we can make use of this money. I mean, it'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Tenderloin, but we got to get people educated on how to be eligible for it.
And who's taking the lead on that? Do you know?
Well, I just spoke to Coalition Homeless yesterday, and we're figuring out a way that somebody can. We haven't got a person to take the lead yet. Maybe someone in the audience today can figure that out.
Got it. Okay, so let's get to a couple questions, and we'll keep talking. Michaela has a question. They live in Tenderloin. They heard someone over the loudspeaker last week announcing coronavirus check down an alley, with a lot of people sleeping outside. Do you know what this is all about? Have you been hearing about this? Is this a city thing? What is this?
No, first of all, it does not sound like a city thing.
No.
And it might be one of our splinter groups. I can check later, but right now I don't have an answer to that.
Okay. Sangeeta's got a question. She says, "Hi, Manny and Del. It's Sangeeta Tableau Girl. He knows who I am." Okay. I was wondering, with the stigma that's, I don't know.
Well, I know who she is.
That's a story for another day, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, with the stigma that surrounds the Tenderloin, residents and homeless people in general, do you find that individual people, not papers or other orgs, but people, are reacting in harmful ways towards the neighborhood? And if so, are the ways that we can address this attitude? Aside from supporting the Tenderloin as much as possible financially and politically, are the ways we can talk about the Tenderloin better with our friends to help out the sentiment? Great question, Sangeeta.
Well, so for someone who's never lived on the streets, looking at the actions and behavior of our unhoused people, everything looks harmful, behavioral, crazy, dangerous, and detrimental. Those people are just living their way of life. That's a completely different way of life than you, me, and Sangeeta. Okay, so everything looks twisted. They look at us and think we're living a dangerous life. Huh. We're walking out the bars at 2 o'clock in the morning, bouncing off the walls. They're saying that's crazy as hell.
Yeah.
While they're laying in their tents. It's just a different. You got to understand, living on the streets is a completely different way of life, but it happens to be a way of life.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right. 2 questions in the Q&A box. Rodriguez asks, what are some inspiring ways you've seen residents in the TL step up and take care of each other during this time?
Well, that's something that's not new. You got to understand this coronavirus has not really changed the Tenderloin, because we've been living in misery, in unhygienic situations, in neglect, in abandonment for many years. You and I and other people that's on the stream, we're experiencing, we can't go get our hair cut, we can't go get our nails done, we can't go get our oil changed, we can't go to the restaurant, we can't go to the bar. Our people have faced that for years. It's nothing new. So the little irritants that we do, so we're living life in the Tenderloin as a normal day, no difference.
This is not, okay. Do you think, and this is maybe a bit of a strange question to ask, but do you think that this collective experience in people not having access to a lot of the places they typically go to might actually create some empathy for people who haven't had access to these same places for a long time?
I would like to think so. And, we got to keep in mind that our lives is permanently changed because of this. For example, and there's some good things. I've talked to you a little bit before this program. There's some good things that come out of this. If you can want to say some good things come out of an international disaster or crisis. But one thing is we're learning how to work from home.
Okay.
And you may not think that's a big of a thing, but the big thing about it is that we will no longer need to live in San Francisco. We will no longer need to live in Cupertino. We will no longer need to live with short commute foreign jobs, because we won't have commutes anymore. So now people won't strain and cause those rents to rise. We can live in Antioch, Sacramento, Davis, Fairfield, all these other cities, and telecommute. So that first thing, it will ease the commute dramatically, and it will finally lower our rental and lease prices in San Francisco.
You don't think people are going to be rushing back, to physically together after this?
No. I mean, as far as employment, because we've been trying to do this telecommuting for years and everyone was afraid to do it. Now, since we've been forced to do it, all these companies, and I talk to them every day. I talk to these tech companies every day. Twitter, Salesforce, LinkedIn, saying, wow, this works.
Yeah, I hate it so much. I have to tell you, Del. I miss my people. But right, Drew wants to know what your thoughts are on the addition of temporary shelters being considered at Moscone.
Well, that's a great idea. The mayor actually says it will open later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And this will be it's temporary, and we understand that. Hopefully we'll get 2 or 3 months out of that. It'll increase our social distancing, and it'll give people some dignity. So
how many beds do you think it's going to be able to hold?
I think she's talking about 130 beds.
And who are those people that are going to be in those beds?
From what I understand, it'll be the seniors that are in the navigation centers. The seniors / people at risk in the navigation centers will be the priority. And then second will be seniors that are in the shelters.
And are they going to then fill those beds with folks from the waiting list?
They haven't said what yet, because one thing my bane of very discomfort is that they have frozen the entry into any of our shelter systems.
Right.
So hopefully by Monday they'll announce, well, they need to get more people out of the navigation so they can do their separation. So they'll probably do their separation on Monday or Tuesday. That's what I predict. And after that, they'll see how many more people can get in the system. Because I mean, this weekend, I probably had 4 people call me that needed to get into a shelter, and I wasn't able to help. That's the first time ever I've happened that.
Damn. Jorge asks, sorry if I missed the answer. What's going on with the governor's housing initiative with the 300 buildings designated for the homeless? Do you know about this, Del?
Yeah, I know about it, and they're still waiting to get leases signed and all of the particulars. So hopefully we'll hear about this towards the end of the week. I know the governor is doing a wonderful job, much like our mayor, on getting these things, and he wants to get it done, and he will. I believe he will get it done. So I would say by the end of this coming week, we'll know more.
Okay, if you guys have any more questions for Del, now's the time to type them into the Q&A box. This is my last question for you, Del, which is, I think in times of crisis, how you treat the most vulnerable amongst you is, it says a lot, right? It's one thing in times when times are good or whatever, it says something about you, but how you treat the most vulnerable in a time of crisis, I think is very indicative of a society, of a place, of a people. And I want to ask you, as someone that's in touch with all sides of San Francisco life, but especially with the most vulnerable, do you feel like we're going to look back and we're going to be proud of the way the city and the community treated the most vulnerable among us during this time of crisis?
Well, the jury will still be out. Is still out on that right now. And you got to understand, the people that are in crisis don't even know they're in crisis, because nothing has changed for them. Where it's got a little irritating and miserable for us and doing what we do, nothing has changed in those tents.
Right.
So they don't even know they're in a crisis. They don't even know about this corona crisis, because they're sick already. So hopefully that people will realize that this situation, I think it kind of went in reverse. Because now people are feeling sorry for themselves. Oh, I can't get my nails done. I can't go to the bar. So we're in there feeling sorry on that pity potty. Before, we did have some empathy for people.
Right.
I think we need to get over that first. Because everyone, I was talking to people all day long. Oh, man, I can't go. So what? You can't go to the house. So what?
You have a house. At least you have a house.
Yeah, you have a house. Yeah. Get creative. Enjoy it.
Right. Okay, Del, before we leave, I just want to point out that Code Tenderloin, it's the time of need for Code Tenderloin as well, and you guys are doing a lot of amazing work right now. We've added a link in the chat box for the folks who are participating to donate to Code Tenderloin. Also, operator, if you don't mind repasting the Join It link at the bottom of the chat box. Manny's is also closed, and we need your help and your support. Please become a sponsor of Manny's. I know, Del, you're a sponsor, and I appreciate it. And I proudly support Code Tenderloin. So the link is on the bottom. Please also tag us at Welcome to Manny's and share the story of today. Share what you learned today by tagging at Welcome to Manny's. And thank you so much to our team, Sam, Ram, and Jupiter, for putting this all together. And to you, Del, for all of your great work, your advocacy, for the people that you fight for and the communities that you are within. And I just want to say how honored I am to know you and to be in this fight with you.
Man, it's always great dealing with you and having conversations with you and being in your wonderful place. You know, I don't have many places to go when I go to the mission. And since we've met, I'm in the mission all the time. So you've opened up a new community to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Del. Have a great Saturday, everyone. And
Okay,
stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.